Hello commanders, in this video we'll be going over the top 5 destroyers in Azur lane. I was hesitant to make this one because I don't think destroyers are good, so I don't use them very often. So I can't really say I have good experience with them. Destroyers are very much glass cannons. They have low survivability and many of their skills focus more on damage. Unfortunately, 99% of the time, you can get a cruiser to do more damage whilst being tankier too. Think about World 14. Think about how gimmicky they had to make it just to force people to use a destroyer. And outside of World 14, realistically, they are almost never the best option. So going into this list, just keep in mind, I'm very much biased against destroyers. Take everything I say with a grain of salt. And as always, I would appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Now, let's get started. Number 5. Anshan Retrofit. She, like her sister Changchun, got very unique upgrades with the retrofits, turning them into the only 2 guided missile destroyers in the game. They are unique because they fire missiles instead of torpedoes and have the option to be sorted in the main fleet, though you should never do that. Instead, it's better to think of them as a very weak main fleet ship in your vanguard. The missiles are actually pretty cool. They are generally better than torpedoes as they are more accurate when playing on auto, and they do more damage to everything except heavy armor. Anshan slightly edges out her sister for 5th place because while their stats and weapon efficiencies are nearly identical, Anshan has better skills. She gives a larger stat boost with her first skill, and her second barrage skill provides armor break, making her the stronger ship in most cases. Number 4. Yudachi Retrofit. Her retrofit gave her a lot of great improvements. Her stat increases are actually very nice. Gaining 165 base health and 40 firepower may not seem like much, but when your base stats are low, these increases are actually pretty significant. She also trades a torpedo mount for main gun +1, which is a trade I would take on any ship because no one plays on manual and waits on torpedoes. If you're a manual player, first of all, stop lying. If you're not lying, stop playing on manual. And if you don't stop, well then I guess you have my respect. Yudachi also gets 2 retrofit skills. Her first skill turns her useless pre-retrofit skill into some actually good stat boosts. Her second skill gives her barrage, but more importantly some much needed damage reduction, though it is only for shelling damage. Altogether, this makes Yudachi one of the tankier and highest damage destroyers, if that even means anything. Number 3. Shimakaze. Think Yudachi, but just more cracked. Now, torpedoes are not very consistent on auto, but it doesn't matter for Shimakaze because her torpedoes are on another level. 602 torpedo stat with 170% efficiency and 3 skills that all focus on increasing torpedo damage means you get a lot of damage even from just a few torpedoes landing. She also has 3 powerful barrages, just to add some more damage in there. Probably one of the few vanguard ships that can output damage comparable to a main fleet ship. Also, each of her skill icons match one of her poses in her base skin, which I thought was pretty cool. So bonus points for style. Now, before we get into 1 and 2, who are very similar by the way, let's talk about the honorable mention, who is none other than Z23, also lovingly known as Nimi. In case you're wondering why she's called Nimi, because Nimi in Japanese means 2/3 or 23rd, so it's just a cuter way to say 23. As for why she's my honorable mention, it's because she's the best starter ship, and if you disagree, you're wrong. Ayanami is a close second though. Finally, we have number 1 and 2, which I will talk about together because I use them for the same reason. Number 2 is the newest destroyer Hammond 2, and number 1 is Kazagumo. These are the only 2 destroyers I frequently use in my fleets, and it is all because of their skill, air raid assistance. This is one of the best skills to bring if you're using a carrier fleet. Both Hammond 2 and Kazagumo have an improved version of this skill that provides the 15% damage bonus along with some added survivability for your carriers. It also helps that the premier carrier fleets are USS and IJN, with Yorktown 2 and Shinano respectively requiring 3 ships from their own factions for one of their skills to activate. And it just so happens that Hammond 2 and Kazagumo are USS and IJN, so it just works. Their own stats don't really matter that much as this skill is more than enough reason to use them. But Hammond 2 does bring some decent anti-air and anti-sub, while Kazugumo has respectable damage for a destroyer. Also, Kazugumo is in first place over Hammond 2, mainly because the IGN carrier fleet is still superior to the USS fleet in the current state of the game. And with that, the destroyer list is done. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything, but honestly, I don't think you can change my mind on any destroyers. I welcome you to try though. Also, let me know if you're interested in a top submarines list, as that's the only ship type I haven't covered yet. I will warn you, if you think I dislike destroyers, don't even get me started on submarines.